Welcome to the Retro Junkion.
Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going to take apart and refurbish this VIC-1525 graphic printer. Story behind this, I actually, well, you can see here, I found this guy at Goodwill, which is great because, I don't know if you know this, but Goodwill has an online auction site similar to eBay, and now if there's like computer stuff, like decent cameras, video game systems, they sell all that stuff on their auction website. They typically don't have it in the stores. Now, I don't know if that counts old Commodore, printers, but typically, I guess they're aware of the value of Commodore stuff, because if you go look on their auction site, you'll see Commodore 64s, 128s, whatever. I have never seen one in the store. Now, I know at one time you could get them in the store, here and there, but now they take all that stuff and put it online, which kind of sucks, because then you gotta, instead of getting a good deal, say $10 for a Commodore 64 or a 128, whatever, $20, whatever it may be, instead you're gonna bid on it, and then you're gonna be, it's gonna be like eBay price. You're gonna get it for 100, 150. The 128s on there I've seen go up, in excess of 250. Basically, you'll pay roughly the same as on eBay, and you won't know anything about it other than what the pictures show you. You have no assurances that it's in good working condition, or if it's, filled with water. You just don't know. But anyway, short rant. But as you can see, this thing is thoroughly filthy. So the first thing I'm going to do with it is take it apart and take these plastics, all the plastics upstairs, and clean them in the sink, and then blow the dust out of it, and then we'll go from there. One thing I wanted to mention, just because I thought it was kind of neat, let me scoot this guy back. This is, just the little cover. I guess it's a dust cover, something like that. But it's just funny to me how much higher quality things were back in the day. This thing is like 1/8 of an inch thick. It's like this simple, cover piece of plastic weighs, I don't know, half a pound, quarter of a pound, something. It has noticeable weight to it, whereas obviously if you bought something like this today, this thing would be, a 1/16 of an inch thick or less plastic. It's just kind of neat how, how much better made things really used to be. But yeah, so I just saw this on the shelf one day and immediately grabbed it. I don't think a lot of people collect these printers, but I have one for my Amigas. I have the MPS 1200. I got it from eBay for, it was cheap. This guy, as you saw, I only paid $5, so great. Don't know anything about its condition. Haven't even plugged it in yet. I'm gonna clean it up first, and then I'll go from there. Instead of buying a ribbon, I don't even know how this ribbon comes out, but we'll figure all that out once I crack it open. But the machines I fix for work are ticket issuing machines, and they use similar ribbons. So what I did with my MPS 1200, instead of buying a ribbon, which I think you can still get, I know you could for the MPS 1200, I don't know if you can for these, but probably. But instead of doing that, I just took the ribbon that was in it and took one of the ribbons from my work equipment and emptied its little sponge. Inside of these ribbons, there's a sponge soaked with ink, and then the ribbon just spools through there and rubs up against it and re-soaks up ink to replenish the ribbon. This one will be dried out. Obviously, it's been in here for, who knows, 40 years, 30 years, whatever it's been. But I should be able to bring it back. We'll see. Not guaranteed, but it's worth a shot. So I'm going to take this guy apart, and then I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to go clean up the plastics. Then I'll come back and take a look. We can take a look at the plastics and see about what's going on in the inside, what needs, cleaned up or lubricated, whatever. I'm just going to try to get it working. I don't know. It may work right now, but it needs cleaned up. It's really dusty and nasty. Okay, so I got the plastics off of it and cleaned them. I'll show you them here in a second. And excuse me, I got most of the dust off of it. Wanted to give you guys just a couple of small tips, I guess you would say. These little feet right here. Okay, so this mechanism is held into the case just by four bolts, four shoulder bolts. There you go. Well, I took those 4 bolts out. I've never taken one of these apart, so I didn't know if there was more to it than that. But I took them out and, you know, try to lift it. Nothing. Pull. Just couldn't get it out for a couple of seconds. I don't want to break anything, obviously, so I'm not trying to, you know, wrench on it. But I was yanking pretty good, and it wasn't coming out. Well, come to find out, these plastic things here, or these rubber, you know, standoffs, the, you know, dampeners, vibration dampeners, they were stuck to the case just from 40 years of sitting around, and that's all that was holding it on after I took those bolts out. But I just want to let you know, you got to yank on them pretty good, at least in my case. Let me show you these, you know, as best I can anyway. You can probably tell the difference, you know, I'm not sure, but clean this guy up. I cleaned all the plastics up, but to clean them, I just put them in the sink with hot water and dish soap. But it came out really nice. It's a lot cleaner than it was. There's still some, like, some unidentifiable marks on it that didn't come off with soap, and then there's also a bunch of, like, very uneven yellowing. So this case is probably going to be hard to retrobrite when I go to do that, but I will do it anyway, just because I want it to look nice. But yeah, the plastic's cleaned up really easily, and it's nice too because these plastics are really tough, really thick and strong, so I didn't feel like I was messing with something fragile when I was cleaning it. I just, you know, went for it. But now we're going to go ahead and clean the assembly for real. All I did to it was brushed it to try to loosen up some of that, you know, stuck on dust, and then just blew it off with an air compressor to get, you know, the loose dust off of it. But I've checked the, you know, the mechanism, everything seems to work okay. But it needs lubricated and all that. I wouldn't normally lubricate these cogs, you know, or gears, but at least this here, you can't see that, this one here, which has a solenoid that disengages it from the motor, it looks like they had some kind of a grease, lithium grease or something on it from the factory, so I'll at least put that back. But more importantly, I want to clean it up, just clean up the mechanism, get it, you know, running smooth, lubricate this guide rail. And there's also a lower one. I don't know if you can see it, they're kind of lined up, but there's 2 guide rails that the printhead itself rides on. It's driven by a cable, which I thought was really neat. So in the equipment I work on, you know, for my job, they use dot matrix printers and some of the older stuff, but they're driven by belts, first of all. But the thing I thought was more interesting about this was the ribbon advance mechanism. On all the ones I've worked on, the ribbon advance, so the ribbon would have, let me grab one, I think I have some sitting here. Alrighty, I got one of these ribbons. So this goes in the machines that I fix to, it uses a dot matrix printer to print on tickets, like parking garage tickets. But anyway, so you see on this side, there's like a toothed, like a cog or a gear. I guess this would be a cog. But a motor goes in that, and while the unit's printing, it spins this to advance the ribbon, because with these dot matrix printers, if you don't move the ribbon while printing, the sharpness or the darkness of the image will fade away as each letter comes out, because, you know, the pens keep hitting it. They basically deplete the ink off of that tiny part of the ribbon, so you got to keep it advancing forward as you print. But this one doesn't use a motor, It uses kind of a neat little system. I thought it was really kind of clever. So it goes on, you slide it over the print head, and then it snaps in here, but the ribbon goes behind this. I don't know if you'd call that like a cam, or I don't know what the word for this mechanism would be, but it goes in there like that, and then these just slide over this kind of. They're like held in on both sides on this little piece. They just kind of pop onto that. Like, oh, that one's not on. There you go, like that. And then this ribbon needs to go under the print head. Obviously, it's, you know, where it prints from. Let's see if I can get it slotted in. Almost. There you go. So it just sits like that. But the neat thing was that the ribbon advance on it, instead of being a motor, it just gets pulled out by this little guy. So this like cam lock device only allows it to move one direction. So when you're going this way, I don't know if you'll be able to see that on camera, but it's locking by being pulled this way. It's locking into the ribbon and pulling it out of the housing, and then it's being pulled through on this side. That's why I think this might just be one continuous, just one single loop, and then there must be a sponge in this one, or in this side. But yeah, I thought it was really neat. And then when it goes the other way, when it goes this way, it does not spool back up. So I guess the idea is that it will unlock that little cam device when it's running, and that's how it works. So it'll go this way and then unlock going that way. So that's what it keeps it advancing. I thought it was really neat. I don't see any method for adding ink, and as a matter of fact, it looks like these housings might be friction welded together, so you couldn't even take them apart. So what we're gonna do, I'm not gonna do like the superficial cleaning, like you know, I'm not gonna like do the cleaning like this thing on camera. It's kind of pointless. I'm just gonna go over the mechanics of it, clean and lubricate that as, you know, I see necessary, and then I'll do the other stuff off camera. And then I went ahead and got my C128. I hooked it up. I got it set up with my Ultimate 2 Plus cartridge with GEOS 128, so I can, so we can print some stuff out on here. Let me get my stuff, and just be 1 second. I just saw something I wanted to show you guys that will actually need some attention, or it's going to be a big problem. Probably gonna have to zoom in, but I might be able to pick the camera up. I'm not sure. Let's see if getting in there. This ribbon right here has come delaminated, so I think you'll be able to see it. The traces that are on there, if I can get a hold of it, there you go. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. That's actually one of its traces hanging off of the ribbon. Gonna have to take care of that, obviously. That's that's not good. It looks like what is this? So it looks like this is actually the connector for the print head, although it's odd because it's only 2 wires. From what I can see, I would have thought it would have been, as far as connections go, it should be like a 7-pin dot matrix, or 8, 9 at the most. But I would have expected to see more pins than that. But anyway, yeah, something's gonna have to be done with that. That's not gonna work. So I'm gonna pluck this out of here and then see what I gotta do to free it. And it looks like this piece just slides off. There you go. And I think the best way to, you know, fix this would be to try to glue that trace back down. Get it pinched back between those 2 pieces of plastic, but not only get it pinched, but also glue it down itself, and then glue the ribbon back together, because it's bare copper on that side. There you go. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, you can see it there. Yeah, that's bare copper. That would be an issue, obviously. If it touches the other one, is short out, could blow out the driver, or, you know, if nothing else, just not work. So it seems like it's okay as far as sticking through the pliers, so I'm going to actually try to force it closed and hold it for a minute. I want to get rid of any of those gaps, and then ideally, you know, hopefully it's filling in the gap between the plastic so it can protect against air, but I doubt it, honestly. Okay. How do the contacts look? Not great. Can you guys see that? They're pretty dirty. They don't look horrible, but you can see where that one spot has been contacting over the years, and then the rest of it has oxidized pretty heavily. Okay, there we go. Got that. I'm not going to bend it back and forth a lot because it might fracture the glue, and I'm also worried about the traces right here at the part where it was bent. You know, obviously, if you bend these back and forth enough, they'll crack just like any other piece of metal from metal fatigue. So I need to put a little bit here too, because I do want to lock up this side. So squeeze that in there. I don't want to fill this whole spot in. It's not the solder mask hasn't come off up here, and I don't want to put more than I need. Super glue is such a pain. Just trying to get a drop out without getting way too many drops. Okay, I got it open there. Now I'm going to squeeze it this way. Try to get it that whole way closed. And just hold that for a minute. Hopefully it'll lock up there. It almost looks like it might be delaminated a little bit down here, but I'm not sure. Okay, that should be good. Yeah, I think I can live with that. It's closed up right there. It's open a little bit. I can see the copper, as a matter of fact. I'll try to get some in there, but this is really going to be difficult. It's just a little teeny tiny crack. There we go. I do want to clean those up a little tiny bit. They're not horrible, but since I'm already in here, I might as well clean it up. Let's see. Right there. I'll run this out a little bit. I'm not going to go crazy. I don't want to wear them away. I just want to get that corrosion gone. Oh wow. They're actually yeah, that's crazy. They're actually tinned copper up here. I'm gonna hit that with some alcohol. Just wipe off the contacts there where I cleaned them. And then we can actually clean some stuff instead of messing with this. These look good. They look clean anyway. I'm really just wiping off dust from the corrosion that I just took off. But they cleaned up really nice and shiny now. And this seems to be holding together okay. It's a little stiffer than it was from the super glue, but that's just going to be what it is. Next, I'm going to, I guess, start by cleaning these shafts that the print head rides on. Alright, let me get this up under here. I'm going to try not to beat up that ribbon cable too much. I should maybe even disconnect it again, especially for the bottom guide rods. Alright, get that around there and just back and forth. Nice and shiny, looks pretty good. This piece of plastic is held on. This is just a shield, I guess. It's held on by a single screw, so I think I'm going to go ahead and pluck it off of there just to make getting to the other shaft a little bit easier. I don't think I'm going to take the other side off. It's just up under the connector, the board for the print head there. So it just sits under that. So it's just one screw that holds it down. I may take it off, I'm not sure. Go ahead and wipe this off. And then try to get in here. And I want to get this towel wrapped around it so I can clean all the way around, not just one side of it. There you can see the other side of the cable that moves the print head, and then it's got this spring to maintain its tension. It's all just a really neat design. It's so simple but effective, you know, not complicated at all. I like it. And then I don't know if you can see that there, but this is what holds the bottom onto the shaft, and it's just spring loaded. So you could just pop this little piece out and then the bottom would be free to move, and it allows it to tilt. And actually, that'll help me get to the printhead. When it's moved out here, can you see that? It actually tilts quite a bit further forward, which would be nice. So I'll probably tilt that forward to look at the other side of the printhead, or to look at the pins on the printhead. Just get the rest of the shaft here. Alright, that'll be good. You can flip this forward actually really far, which is nice. You can see the pins in there. Let me try to get closer. And that's kind of a wild setup. It looks like the pins go all the way down. I don't know how each individual pin on this is actuated. Kind of neat. See, it looks like they go through right here. So this is the actual like actuator for them. But again, there should be like 7 individual pins here. Could be 8, could be 9, but it's probably 7, especially on an older model like this. But it does look really clean. The only part that really looks dirty is just the support piece right there. Some nasty gunk on there from years. I'm just gonna scrape that a little bit. I'm not digging in. You don't want to scratch this plastic. I'm gonna wipe that off. Okay, so we got that. Okay, so it's actually a few days later. It's Tuesday, and over the weekend, I had my daughter and was, busy doing other things. But we're back here, and as you can see, this printer is apart. I wanted to run you through some of the stuff that happened and some of the discoveries that I made, and hopefully this will help you, not have these issues in the future if you find yourself messing with one of these VIC-1525s. Let's see if I can move this in a little bit better for you guys. Okay, so first of all, my original plan to test this was I was going to hook this up to my Commodore 128, and I was going to use my Ultimate 2 Plus cartridge to run GEOS 128 or GEOS 128, and then hook this guy up as the printer, and that was the idea. That was the test method. Well, excuse me too, I've got a bit of a cold, so sorry if I sound kind of weird and if I'm sniffly. Anyway, I wasn't thinking about it at the time, or I don't even know if I knew this. I don't think I did. The Ultimate 2 Plus cartridge only has one serial connector, so instead of doing the pass-through like most devices do, most of the Commodore IEC devices, it only has one connector, so you can't hook it up and a printer. Not if you use it as a 1541, because you need to connect that to the serial port, or a 1571 or 81. And then to further complicate it, this printer also, oddly, only has one IEC port, so you can't daisy chain stuff off of it. So I couldn't even put the printer first and have the Ultimate 2 second. So then I decided to use my SD to IEC. But anyway, once I got the SD to IEC set up, I loaded up the GEOS 128 D81 image, and when I turned the computer on, it wouldn't boot. I mean, it came up, it would come up to the basic screen, but it would never go to the ready prompt when the printer was connected. So I figured there was a problem. And then the other thing of note that was happening that is kind of a clue as to what's going on, I better understand that now, is this solenoid right here was firing, which disconnects this gear from the gear train. And that was it. I could run stop restore and it would boot up to the ready prompt, but that's all I could get activity wise. So I went back to the drawing board, assuming that this printer had a problem, And more so assuming it had an electrical problem, an electronics issue. So I got the oscilloscope out and was checking the 74 series chips on it, and more so I started checking the processor on it. It's got a little microcontroller on it. I don't remember what the chip name was, but I think it was a 8139 MPS 8139. I'm not sure. Don't commit that to memory, because I don't know if that's right. But anyway, the processor seemed to be running code. Everything seemed to be good in that regard. And the 74 series chips, I checked all of them with the oscilloscope, and they seemed to be doing the calculations that they were meant to be doing, or the logic they were meant to be doing. But just to make totally sure, I even took the chips out. There's only 4 74 series chips on this board. And I put them in my little programmer that, that, I don't even remember what it's called, but it's the one that everybody uses, you see on these YouTube videos, the little one. I have a bigger one, but ironically it doesn't do logic tests. Anyway, they all tested okay. I stress tested them, just kept hitting them with the test over and over and over again. Everything came out okay. So I went to get the schematic, and I had found a schematic on Zimmer's Net for the 1525 right when I was first starting to get into this, but I hadn't really looked at the board yet. Well, I got that schematic again and was looking at it and realized that it was a different revision. It had a bunch of stuff that is not on this board, or it was missing stuff that is on this board. So I looked around some more and I just couldn't find it. I found several websites that had a schematic file, but it was all that same picture, and it was a different revision. I don't know what revision. The image is kind of like incomplete. So after that, I said, I figured, well, I'll try to find the service manual. Maybe if I find a different service manual, I can find a different schematic for this thing. And I did find the service manual, and I was looking through it, and then I noticed that it had the gear train in here. But most importantly, well, first of all, let me start off with this too. Let me add this to it. During the midst of all of this, troubleshooting with the ICs and stuff, I'd been messing with these gears over here, and I'm sorry I can't get you a very good shot, and I guess that's okay. And I noticed that it was very hard to turn these gears. Now, initially, I assumed that was just something to do with how it was geared. It was geared low, so it was getting high torque, and because of that, it was hard to turn from a different point in the gear train. But as I was messing with it, I kind of thought, like, this doesn't feel right. It feels too tight. So I put some lubricant oil, Teflon. It's this oil that, well, here, let me show you. It's 3-in-1 makes it. It's just PTFE, which is Teflon. So it's got like a solvent, and then that solvent evaporates and leaves behind Teflon as a lubricant. But anyway, I put some of that in there, and there you go. It loosened up. So I thought, okay, I've got it fixed. It's working good now. So I hooked it back up to see if it would do anything different. And when I turned it on, this printhead moved out to the center and then stopped. Service manual says you should move to its home position, but it kept moving to here and stopping. So its home position is over here, by the way. There's an opto right here that reads where the printhead is, and that is the home position for this printhead. After looking around and just checking stuff out, here's another thing to notice that kind of goes into all this. You see this giant spring right here? I don't know how well you guys can see that because it goes under that plastic piece, but there's a spring that starts on the printhead. It starts on the printhead here, or it ends here, however you want to look at it. It starts here, goes around this pulley, then it goes over to here, around this pulley, and then it goes back over here, and it's terminated on the frame right here. So the printhead is under spring tension going in one direction. So when you push it this way, you're fighting against this spring, and when you go this way, the spring is pulling it. I assumed, looking at it initially, that was to help it move this way for whatever reason, whatever the reason that they came up with, that they wanted this to be returned to be assisted to return to its home position with a spring. Well, I was looking in the service manual, and it was talking about the gear train, and it was talking about this solenoid and this clutch gear right here. You see those two disconnect, so it removes this gear from the gear train, and what that does is it frees the cable assembly right here from the gear train, so it allows it to disconnect from the gear train, and then it can spin freely while that's off. Well, it said in there that the printhead is not driven, and this is the important part of this whole spiel. The printhead is driven to the right by the gear train, by the motor. Let me show you. Oh, sorry. Okay, so you see that driven to the right, that's under the motor's power, and then it stops. But to go back, it is not driven back. That solenoid, the one I was just showing you here, fires and releases that pulley that's driving this this wire that's driving the printhead, allows the spring to return it to the left. So that was the error. Quite the learning experience. Like I said, I've never worked on one of these before. I haven't messed with any of the 8-bit printers. I have the MPS 1200, I think. No, MPS 1000, sorry, for my Amigas. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure now that when this is hooked back up, that this printer is going to function as it was designed to function. I'm assuming what happened was, since it couldn't return to its home position when it was turned on, it was holding the comm line in some kind of wait state, and because of that, the computer wouldn't boot up. It wouldn't do its reset like it's supposed to. Because when I would turn the printer on and then turn the computer on, it would fire the solenoid again. So the computer was telling the printer to initialize. So there was communication happening there, but it wouldn't do anything. When it went to initialize, it would fire this printhead, and the reason that was happening is because the printhead wasn't in its home position, so it was trying to return it there. But even if it had been in its home position, while this was going on, the gear train was so locked up that I don't think it could have driven the printhead to the right any, against the spring tension, or just in general. I mean, it was very tight. The gear train was very gummed up from old lubricant or whatever it may have been. I got it returning to its home position by these pulleys that the cable rides on. Sorry, you can only see the one. These guys, there's 4 that the cable rides on. One here, one here, one here, and then adjacent to that, right below each of them, there's another one. I don't think you can see it, but just below each of those, there's another one on the other side, so it's goes around a complete circle. I took their pins out and lubricated them with the Teflon lubricant, and then also I took the spring off, and the spring rides on these two. There's a pulley here and a pulley under this board right here. You can't really see it, but same thing as this one. There's another one here. I took them off and cleaned them up, and that's all I've done to deal with that issue. And after having done that, it is returning home. So I decided that I'm going to modify the spring and use the PTFE lubricant to lubricate these rails a little bit. I'm going to try to do the thinnest of layers. I have not done that yet. But I did go ahead and do the spring. So I clipped off maybe 20 rings off of this spring. This spring is it's over 1 foot long. It goes all the way from here over to here, back around to here, and then back up to here. So it's a pretty long spring. So I took about 20 rings off of it. Maybe, I didn't count them. I just grabbed a chunk that I thought would be good, and then clipped it off, and then used some pliers and stuff to try to reform the end on it to lock onto the same place that it originally did. So that's the end result. I've got the oil applied. The spring's reconnected. I just wanted to show you how this is working now. It's returning a lot quicker, and oddly, it's, I guess you would say it's not really intuitive, but I mean, maybe it is, but the speed that this returns at is going to affect the speed that this printer can print, because it's got to wait to print another line until this returns to the home position. So the quicker this comes back, the quicker your printing will be. It only prints in one direction. But here's what it looks like returning with the lubrication and the spring tightened up a little bit. Pretty good. I don't think it would get much faster than that. Okay, here we are finally. It's not hooked up to the 128 right now. I have it in test mode, and we're going to see if it will successfully run its test or not. Here we go. All right, there you go. Let me run this up so you can see it, and then zoom you in a little bit. Yeah, it looks good. It amazes me how how just simple this printer really is. It's a cool design. Okay, so I tried printing to the printer from GEOS 128. It didn't work, but I don't know if I have the device number set right for that. I need to check that. But I want to see if communication is working with this. You guys, you saw it print the test pattern. So it appears to be functioning. So what I'm going to do now is, on the C128, I looked up how to do the file opening so you can print to, so you can send characters to the printer so you can print. But, you know, instead of like a new computer or anything somewhat modern, it's not like you just go to the document you want to print and press print. On this, the way you do it is you have to open up a logical file, and then you tell it what device, and then when you want to print something, you type print, and then you type the pound sign and the logical file number that you want to print to, and then in quotes you type in what you want to print, and it prints. So I'm going to try, I've already got the connection open. I'm going to try to type in a little message to see if it sends it to the printer, and see if this thing is functioning, and then I'll go back to trying to figure out what's going on with GEOS. So let me type this in. Okay, so if I did this right, when I press print, it should do just that and print. Okay, yeah, it worked. Let me run this up so you guys can actually see it. Let me zoom you in a little bit. There you go. Yeah, so it is functioning, which is great. Now I need to see if I can figure out why GEOS wasn't working, if I need to change drivers or whatever. So, excuse me. Yeah, I said I got a cold. My voice is actually kind of getting weak, I think. I went ahead and put GEOS 64 on my SD.IEC, and then I put so I could use the fast loader cartridge. But I also switched the device number to 4 on the printer, and that seems to have done the trick. I have GEOS open now, and I'm able to print from it. Pretty cool. This has been quite the learning experience here. This is the first time I've hooked up a serial printer to the Commodore stuff, and it's also the first time I've done any of the the open commands or any of that, just in the basic editor. Yeah, it's been kind of fun. But let me go ahead and I have something already on here. I'm gonna add something to it, and then I'll go ahead and print it out so you can see it running. So again, this is on GEOS or GEOS, I don't know. Let's try to print this off here. I'm curious to see if it's going to say ready again. I don't think it's going to, but I'm not sure. But let's go ahead and do it so you guys can see it printing from GEOS. And then I'm going to do draft quality this time. The other one is NLQ. I'm not sure what that is. You got other options. You can print from page 1 to whatever, or from page whatever to page whatever, which is kind of neat. That's a pretty modern feature. You can also there's an option for single sheet and for tractor feed. This is obviously tractor feed, but here we go. Hit OK, and it takes it a minute to send. It's actually pretty amazing. Oh, that looks good. And as you can see there, it definitely wastes a lot of trees. I don't know if that's just this program trying to print per page, but there's the results, and that actually sent a lot quicker than when I did it in the supposed high quality setting. Let me show you the see if I can get this up here. It's like 100 pages back. I haven't been it too much. Let me get that. See if I can get it to you so you guys can see it. There you go. So that's the high quality. I mean, it looks okay. It looks good, I guess, but I don't really think it's any better than this. But that could be the limits of the printer. It looks like, though, yeah, it actually looks like in the high quality print, yeah, it did. So there's a font that is set in that program. I didn't set it, it's just whatever it defaulted to. It looks like when I printed it in high quality, it actually tried to print that font out. Whereas if you look at this, it's just generic, ASCII characters, I suppose. This might even be what's in the printer's ROM that it's using. Whereas this one, it must have actually sent all the data from the 128, which is probably why it took longer. But yeah, so this one was a tough one. I got sent down the rabbit hole looking at the wrong thing, but that happens sometimes. Yeah, it was a fun little project. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or advice or wisdom to share, anything, comments, just put it in the comments section. Again, any of you guys that subscribed, I really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.